Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Spoofy here and Alex here with the Card Guys. We're here with Korey McDuffie. How are you doing, Korey?
I'm doing great.
I'm so glad to hear that now. You're here with us to show us the deck that you've played in the past couple events.
Yeah.
The Anaheim and ARG Atlanta.
Yep.
Now, how did you do in those events?
I went straight to Anaheim from the Grand Prix in New Jersey. I've been playing a lot of Magic still lately. When I got to Anaheim, I'd honestly been putting so much practice into Magic that I just hadn't really tested as much. I've been keeping up, and this was like the first week that Cliff Forts was legal and stuff like that. So I kind of knew what was going on. I did play a little bit against Cliff Fort. I got to Anaheim with Sahabi and Dion, and we started playtesting, and the first deck I knew I wanted to try was Burning Abyss, and I played Burning Abyss for a couple hours, and every single time I started playing the deck against one of them, I would have another one behind me, and after they walked me through all the plays that I was doing wrong, I was convinced that I could not learn how to play that deck efficiently for the YCS. So I had been playing Shaddolls, and I've always been keeping up with Shaddolls, so I actually just decided to play Shaddolls in the event with the nature of knowing how to play a deck better rather than the best deck. Especially the mirror match, I also expected Burning Abyss to be probably the most played deck, so I didn't want to. I didn't have a good plan for the mirror match.
Yeah.
So I just tried to just stick to what I knew, and I just tuned my Shaddoll list, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then after the Anaheim event, I was 4-1 in Anaheim, and I lost 2 in a row, so that knocked me out, and I just didn't play the other 2 rounds. But the tournament went pretty well. I played against 5 Burning Abyss, beat 3 of them, lost to 2 of them, and then misplayed against my worst matchup, Cliff Fort. So that knocked me out. And then in Atlanta last weekend, I just played in the ARG, beat Shaddolls and then Burning Abyss in the first 2 rounds, and then lost 2 really quickly to both Burning Abyss. So it didn't really go that well. Burning Abyss is hands down the best deck in the format, but I just played Shaddolls, trying to beat Burning Abyss as much as I could because I knew how to play it better.
Now, how do you feel your matchup is against the Cliff Fort?
Cliff Fort is definitely the worst. I feel pretty favored against Burning Abyss most of the time, just as long as I play perfectly and exactly capitalize on all my resources. But Cliff Fort is not a good matchup. I sideboard a couple cards and kind of tuned my main deck for it. But other than that, Cliff Fort is not a good matchup. So.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into this deck. Let's see what you got with this.
Alrighty, well, so first engine, I got 3 Mathematician. Mathematician is definitely the best card to open in this deck. He's really powerful. Pretty much, you guys know that you can just tutor up any Shaddoll with him. I played the one of Felice as well. The Felice is really good. You guys will see the extra deck in just a minute, but I really like Felice in a lot of situations. So yeah, and it's just like a light monster anyways that you can throw away to your Shadoll fusions and stuff like that. So I had those guys. I played 2 Denko Sekka. In all honesty, I do wish I played 3rd. When I went to the when I went to the event, I only wanted to play 2 because I don't like how they clutter. They're really bad against Cliff Fort and the Mirror even. They're obviously really good against Burning Abyss, but the thing is about Burning Abyss, you have to have something to go with it. You can't just summon Denko and lock them out of a turn. You actually need to try to OTK them the turn you play Denka, and when you draw multiple Denkas and even a card like Felice or one of your normal summons like Mathematician, she's just really slow.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to play 2. I talked to Jeff Jones. He may have convinced me that 3 was correct. 3, just allows you to make sure you always have it against Burning Abyss, because there are some times where you'll open, the Shadoll fusion, all the cards you need in order to go off, where you do want it paired with a Denko. But I played 2, wasn't too unhappy with it, and I would probably play a 3rd.
All right.
My Shadoll count, 1 Hedgehog, 2 Falco, 2 Dragon, 2 Squamata, 3 Beast. The only other possible Shadoll that I think that you could possibly play is another Shadoll Hedgehog. And in all honesty, I did miss it a couple times this weekend. I really did need a second Hedgehog. So one of the changes that I'd probably make is I would cut one of the spell cards, and I'll show you that in just a minute too. But the only other monsters I played, I got the 2 Black Dragons, the 2 White Dragons, and a BLS. Pretty much these guys. So the Eclipse Wyvern, I didn't really like in the deck. It was another card that cluttered, especially with Denko or Felice. You can maybe play the Eclipse Wyvern over the Felice, but I like the Felice to allow you to make some of the extra deck cards. But also, the reason why I want to play these guys is they allow you to play a couple other extra deck cards as well, which once I said, I'll get into the extra deck in just a minute. But these cards are also since you do want to try to OTK with this deck, especially with like draws of Denko, you want to be able to like summon these things to be able to like kill your opponent. And even if your opponent is like on a slow start with a bunch of back rows, you can just kind of run one of these out there, poke in the few damage just to make your OTK a little bit easier to make later the next turn or the turn after that even. And they're solid floaters too, you know, like if you do make that poke for damage, they run it over, you don't really lose anything, you just get to search the other.
Yeah.
So I like those, and it's probably also one of the best facts that you have a good light monster to go with the Shaddoll fusions. BLS is, you know, arguably just one of the best cards in the format.
Ever.
So
I think it should be banned, to be honest. What do you think about that?
There's a chance, yeah, no, I agree. BLS, Soul Charge, both those cards are like, you know, they're pretty game-changing, game-breaking, and I could definitely see them cutting those, so... Yeah, those are the monsters.
What about the spells?
Yeah, spell count was like really, really tight for this weekend. I really thought it was important to main 3 MST. Once again, the problem with this deck sometimes, it like clutters. Like if you draw a hand with Denkos and MSTs, it could be bad for sure, but ultimately, as long as your Shaddol fusions are online, your L Shaddol fusions are online, and MSTs making sure to catch their one back row they played or their emptiness they chain, I just really want to always have this card so that I don't get caught behind. Because if you do go for like a fusion card and they play Vanities backed up with a Dante, it is so hard to come back from that. So I really wanted 3 MSTs for this weekend. Also, the Cliffort matchup, this is, you know, one of the best reactive cards that you're going to have. Like, you obviously have Dragon to go with the Shadow games to be able to, you know, pop their things here and there, but I really wanted the 3 MSTs made. 6 fusions. In Anaheim, I played the Artifact build, which I very much regret. I played the Artifact build to try to better my mirror match or to better my my Cliffort matchup, you know, just like have other cards that can react and pop during their turn. But I boarded out the 3 Sanctum and the 3 Moral Attack every match against Burning Abyss. So I just like, it was just so weak. Ultimately, the tournament, it was like a dead slot. So I definitely, I played 6 fusion spells this weekend, but I only played 5 that weekend. I did a lot of times, I would board out like an El Shaddoll fusion against the Burning Abyss match, because sometimes you'll draw hands that you do just want to try to grind them out. I don't feel like strongly about it. Like, it also kind of depends on like how your opponent's playing, but I definitely in some matchups cut an El Shaddoll fusion just so I don't like draw all my reactive cards with not enough Shaddolls with the El Shaddoll fusion.
And that's completely understandable.
Yeah, keep that in mind. That is definitely one thing I've seen people do, and it still happens to me even after I board one out. I'll just draw too many fusion spells and they're just dead.
And I have that problem as well with doing that.
In the spell count, all these cards are pretty powerful. I really wanted a lure to like help draw my Denkos, to draw the fusion. The problem with the lure is it only fixes like your good hands. It's not even really good with bad hands, because like any hand that only has one Shadow monster in it and you're ditching it to Allure, that means you're not going to have it for one of your fusions. So Allure was like kind of weak. And if I were to cut one of the spell cards I was talking about earlier for the second Hedgehog, which I missed a lot, I would either cut Allure or Book of Moon. The Book of Moon I just knew was really good against all the matches. Like against the mirror match, you can book your face down Shadow monster to make sure they can't Shadow fusion out of the deck. Against Burning Abyss, you can catch them in a play where they're like trying to make a Dante and, you know, flip the thing face down. Also against Burning Abyss, if you flip one of their monsters face down, their Burning Abyss monsters die. Like all of them die or whatever. So like that's like one. It's just like a very reactive. If anything, it just kills one of their cards. And I really liked it for like all those. And against Cliffort. Oh yeah. This is very important against Cliffort. So I also play this card in Anaheim, and against my Cliffort opponent, the reason why I was able to win this one game, I just like made him, I actually had a Shadow Dragon that I could get with my Shadow games, but I just let him search because I knew he was going to make this sacrifice play. And I knew that I could OTK him the next turn. He summons the Cliffort, and you just immediately Book of Moon it right when they summon. Don't let him equip Sacrifice to it, because it's really hard to get rid of their monster once they sacrifice it. Like if you book it and they're not allowed to equip, that's how you stop Sacrifice. So, and that's like one of the most important cards in that deck. So I really wanted Book of Moon for those situations. Okay. Foolish acted like the second Hedgehog more or less of the time. Like I was able to just immediately get a Dragon MST or immediately cycle it to get a Beast. And you guys know that, but like I really like the Foolish Burial for the most part, and could arguably be another card that you can cut for the second Hedgehog as well. Super Poly arguably should be banned and is the best card, one of the best cards in the deck, so no implications there. And the Raigeki, I really want to main deck so many people have been messing with Majesty's Fiends and Vanity's Fiends lately.
Yeah.
I just really wanted Raigeki to be able to like out those kinds of plays. And sometimes when like if Burning Abyss opens like multiple Dantes, you can like Raigeki them away, and that's pretty good.
Also, I've noticed a lot of times if you catch them with Vanity's face up and a couple of Dantes, you can Raigeki them and they won't get their special summons off there.
That is very true too.
Yeah.
Traps. Since we're playing Denkos, you can't play that many traps. I want 3 Shadow games to always open with Mathematician, because like any game that you like open Mathematician and like you can like set up some kind of play to like, if you do want to send the Squamata to have the extra monster that you can get with Falco, like you can, but like if you open this and then like are able to send a beast, like the amount of card advantage you get with that is so much that it's usually just like a free win. So Allure, helps you draw that combination of cards well. So I really wanted 3 Shadow games. Against some of the fast matchups that are more unfair, I definitely would like want to cut 1 against those matchups. So maybe you could do that against that, but I would definitely not go less than 3 Shadow games. The core is really good, just like help you. There's a lot of plays you can make with this. It's fine against Burning Abyss too, like against them, like if they're like trying to like swarm, you can just like make it in defense and it's like fine. It also, a lot of people didn't know that I can make this card into attack position, so like sometimes just like randomly just like attack, kill your thing. Like in the mirror, I remember one of my opponents like got rid of my constructs, and then I just flipped core and attacked his Falco that he had sent that turn, or that I had already destroyed that turn. So like it's got like some pretty cool tricks you can do with that. But ultimately, being able to use Shaddoll core with El Shaddoll Fusion, just like you can obviously like make some good plays with that too. And then Compulse is just like one of the best traps, honestly. Like even though I was playing Denko, I wanted it more than Bottomless, more than Torrential. Like against Dante, he doesn't get his add back effect, and against Construct and Winda, they don't get those effects. So yeah, I really like Compulse for this weekend too.
Very good chainability and disruption plays. I love it.
Yeah. It's a tempo card too. This is an OTK format. Like all the decks, like against Burning Abyss, they're gonna grind you out way better. All their cards replace each other. Everything, it's like hard to like grind through a made Dante with a Sir under it. So like Compulse is like one of those cards that like if you're gonna OTK your opponent, I think that's the best way to fight those like really grindy strategies.
What is extra deck?
All right, so the extra deck's like really important as like a lot of the slots I was talking about. I want to even mention also earlier about the Raigeki. The reason why I wanted to main deck Raigeki is if you have a draw where like you can like overlay like one of your black or white dragons with one of your 4-drops, a dead Denko or a like a black or white dragon or something like that. You can make a Dweller, remove it, Raigeki them if they have Dante and stuff in play, and that's just like a lot of card advantage itself. So I really wanted the Dweller. Exciton Knight's really nice too. Against like it's obviously not like an OTK card because you can't kill them after you use this, but it's really powerful as far as being able to catch up with like Cliff or Burning Abyss. Like there's a lot of times like they have Fire Lake and like you have a black dragon, they're not going to Fire Lake that away.
Yeah.
You make like. Then you summon Denko, and they're like, yep, obviously can't do anything, and then you can make Exciton Knight and try to like, it's not that great because all the Burning Abyss cards, do replace themselves so much, but I really do like Exciton Knight. Castell is just a staple, probably one of the best XYZ monsters in the game right now, and I really just wanted it for the outs for the same thing that I like Compulse, just being able to like get rid of their Dante or their Construct without being able to get rid of their effects is like always really nice. The fusion monsters, I had 3 Winda, 3 Constructs.
Why did you choose 3?
Well, so it's really funny you say that. The very last second of the tournament, I cut a Black Rose from my extra deck for the 3rd Winda. I just so many times against like Burning Abyss, they're gonna Karma cut it because they have to. Also against some games where like Winda's not even that great, you're gonna be trying to kill them so many times by like El Shaddoll fusioning that you just want to be able to have no ever situation where you can't make a monster and be able to attack them. So the 3 Winda was really good. I actually used all 3 Winda 2 games in the tournament, once against Burning Abyss and once in the mirror, just because like those matchups can be like kind of grindy. And the constructs are just like, like you're gonna make construct. He's 2,800 damage. He sends another thing to like keep your engines going. So the constructs were like staple. I didn't play Grista, but Shakamunga was awesome. Shakanaga. He was really good for me this weekend. I was able to like super poly away my opponent's Cliff Orts to make them, and he's good against some of the like XYZ monsters and stuff like that. 3,000 defense is like a lot too, so I definitely like the Shakanaga. But the Grista like never really came up. I saw somebody like side deck it, and maybe that's correct or something, but there's never like that many implications for it. Leo, free win against Burning Abyss sometimes. Like, it's really hard for them to kill it if they haven't already Raigeki, good old Desmond, giving me the hooks. Arcanite Magician and Yahtzee were my choices for my 7-drops. Yahtzee, the reason why I was talking about Felice, like Felice is definitely really good as far as being able to make this card aggressively against Burning Abyss. Like, it's really hard for them to get rid of this card without making like, I guess like Acid Golem or something like that. Sure. If they have BLS on your turn 1, you know, Yahtzee, then God help them. But Arcanite Magician is like, ultimately I think Arcanite Magician may be better than Black Rose in a lot of situations. There's never that many times where you're gonna like kill that many cards that like Black Rose isn't gonna usually more than 2 for 1. And even if it does, Arcanite Magician has a lot of the same implications because you can also then immediately use it for a Shaddoll Fusion or El Shaddoll Fusion because he's a light. So that is definitely the reason why I wanted that guy. And then my last 2 slots, I got a Sahemoth. Right now, strictly better than Goyo. Goyo is not even going to come up that often, but this card usually for me is like really good. Just being able, the fact that you can banish like a Construct or a Dante to make sure that they don't get their effects is like pretty relevant. And I definitely was really happy about that slot over Goyo. And this card was probably the weakest card in my deck this weekend, in my extra deck. I never really made them. There's some times where randomly your opponent like serves into play like a Scarm, and like you can like, I guess that doesn't even stop that play actually, but like
only Syrian Graphs.
Yeah, it only kills the Syrian Graphs. But this card was weak for me. Like, you're never also really like, if you're activating Mathematician and setting Falco and like have a beast in the grave and you're flipping Falco to get back to the beast and like then like you're already winning anyways.
You're
this card,
and
that too. Like this card is not even gonna like really be. So I would definitely cut that from my deck. But yeah, but I really thought that my main and my extra was very, very tuned as far as changes. But I would definitely cut this for something. I'm not sure what I would cut it for, but definitely I liked those first 55 cards.
How about your side deck?
My side deck. So
we'll see you next week. This weekend.
First thing, you asked me about Cliff Forts, and I definitely wanted to have a lot of cards against Cliff Forts.
You don't like Cliff Forts, do you?
Yeah, like these cards, so Bottomless and Torrential actually fight against like random fair decks. You're never going to go to a tournament and not play against like Fire Fist or Bujin or like, you know, some kind of, I guess even Six Samurai I saw was played in Milan, and like all those kinds of decks I would say Bottomless Trap Hole and Torrential can like kind of catch. I actually just like Bottomless Trap Hole against like Shaddolls sometimes too, like if they like, you know, make a construct, maybe you can like, you know, catch something like that, or if they're or if they board in Vanities or Majesties, Bottomless catches that. So I actually like that for those. Obviously against the Cliff Fort deck though, Bottomless, you know, it can catch all of them in a Pendulum Summon. It banishes them so they don't go back to the extra. So Bottomless was like, it was close enough to being made. I just thought that Compulse was just a little bit better. But definitely, if you could, you know, squeeze one of the main, that might be not that bad either. Torrential, kind of the same thing, except just a little bit weaker. It's really funny. It's like kind of like a Wabaku sometimes against Cliff Fort even. It's not even going to be that great. But like I said, I want to really OTK this format. So having like an instant speed Dark Hole, I would really, really want against Cliff Fort. In fact, Torrential's so weak that I wouldn't even board in my my extra deck or my side deck Dark Hole, because kind of the same thing. Like, I don't really ever feel like I'm going to have a turn where like if they're like making a field, I'm taking a lot of damage, and if I don't kill them that turn, which I'm usually not going to be able to, it's not that great. So I think Torrential's better than the Dark Hole. Twister's just like a random catch-all. I didn't know how they're going to do the Royal Command ruling or whatever, so Twister I just wanted to like have against like all the Floodgates, Shadow Mirror, you know, all the Soul Drain I even played against in a Clifford deck or whatever, and so I really wanted Twister against those. And you guys all know about Fairy Wind now. It's pretty much only for Clifford because it catches, you know, all their you know, spells that they have in play, Skill Drain, and their other Floodgates. So Fairy Wind's a staple for now, and is pretty much just for Cliffords. For the mirror match, I had Mind Control. Depending on how some players played and how their exact lists were, I would board in Dark Hole maybe against them, more so than I would board in Torrential. Just because, like, if they're playing Denko, Torrential could be dead, and, you know, Dark Hole's like, if you're living against Shaddolls, you're probably not doing that bad. So I like Dark Hole against them. Defusion is really good, obviously for a billion reasons.
It's a lot like a soul charge in the battle phase.
Defusion?
It's unreal.
Or another El Shaddoll fusion. There's so many games where they're like, normal summon a dragon, attack with dragon, you know, El Shaddoll fusion, make construct, attack, defusion, you know, tack, and like
it just aids the OTK.
Yeah, it really does. That's what I'm telling you, man. This format was like all OTK based. Like that is really all I could like emphasize. And then against Burning Abyss, I really liked all these cards. The Max C's were great. Like anytime they're really just gonna like you have like some slow dead cards in your deck that you could take out. Like even MST is like kind of weak against them sometimes.
Yeah.
But I like the Max C's a lot, just to be able to like slow them down. Like you don't want to get OTK'd by them, and it's usually going to draw you 1 or 2 cards. And if it's dead, you know, like you can make Shakanaga, which is like actually like really good against them. Shakanaga can like stop Dante, it can stop Virgil, which is like, you know, Virgil can't even run over it. Dante can't run over it. So if you have a dead one of those, it's really easy to fuse, and it is not bad at all. The breakthrough skills are amazing. In fact, I also had another Denko, just so I always have it. The breakthrough skills are really amazing because like they get around the Denko, like they can be in your grave and you can summon Denko and you can still like activate them or whatever. So I like really like that, and yeah, like the breakthroughs, like if they ever like summon Tour Guide and you break through the Tour Guide, it makes their hand really bad because now their Burning Abyss die. And also against Majesty's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend, I just want to have as many outs of those as possible. Even against Burning Abyss, you know, depending on how they played, sometimes I'd board in Dark Hole just so I could like never lose to Vanity's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend, because that deck, like those cards, like really the cards that make this deck not be able to play. So, but yeah, as far as my Shaddoll list, this is what I